Great to be here, and I can see a lot of participants joining us. Once again, thank you all for joining from across the globe. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and from whichever part of the globe you're joining in. This is Shruti, and today I'll be talking about decoding product market fit or with AI. So. So I am sure all of us are from I would say tech background, not background to be specific, but product background for sure. So I'll not take much time and jump back to the next screen, which says who am I as a person, and here on the screen, uh, lovely to join all of you virtually with that again. So I've been working as a product marketer for almost 9 years now, going to be 10 this year. Outside my yeah okay So I've worked for e-commerce firms, I've worked for fintechs, worked with a lot of POS machine systems, worked with a lot of credit card and businesses, so on and so forth. Um, right now I'm working with this company called as GenRocket, which is an AI ML now more focused on test data. So what we do is we create create test data for everybody working on the test side of the things. Uh, Apart from that, I am also a Women Tech Makers ambassador, Grammarly ambassador, and in 2024, I just won my I Am Remarkable award. So I'll keep it going, and if I'm sure, like we have like some. Or maybe I'll just refer the chat. So, how many of us remember this app called Threads? Threads, Threads. Um, can I have it in the chat box? Anyone who has heard of Threads or Cred for that matter, or if you're familiar with Orkut, right? So I see Federica saying yes there. So just to give you a bit of ancient timing and recalling what thread was all about, or what thread is all about, and what is it. So yes, this so we remember there was this other brother or sister of Instagram that came quite back, and we were all over it. We saw huge marketing done because of threads, and we people just started installing in their phones, and a lot of things. I mean, it was just a crazy market back then when it came a few years back. But what happened? I mean, I'm sure today, I'm not sure if hardly anybody uses it. So that's the whole point of my session today, that just because you see just because people want it doesn't mean that they need it. So that's why we need to get into the roots of the market and understand the exact need that is there around. And so it's not that threads came out, the app that had any bugs, or it was not user friendly, or it was not very intuitive, or the UI or the UX was very complex. No, nothing of that sort. It was a very nice, well rolled out uh, messaging platform supporting uh, kind of similar to X and Instagram, all of it. But what happened eventually? So we saw the very first month it attracted billions and millions of users, but after a month it started the team started noticing the drop in the users. That's right, here on my screen is what the slide is talking about. Here is when the product market fit comes. So it's not only about relying and getting happy by seeing the very first traction that you see, or kind of, let's say, the very first month or the very first week. I've had enormous sign-ups on my application, on my apps. I'm seeing people coming in, a lot of people coming in, and there's a lot of budge. People are talking about my product, and it's just rock on. No, it doesn't work like that. That's what I say. Okay, I'm from India, and any part of the world. So there's a stat that says 90% of startups, I say I am from India because we are seeing a lot of startups emerging these days here. And I think it's the same across the world, across the globe. What we can see, or what the data suggests today, is that 90% of startups fail, and of those that survive, more than half fade after their early traction, something that happened with threats, not because their product is broken, but because they mistake momentum for meaning. Which means, when threads came up, 100 million signups in 5 days, which was the fastest in history. But a month later, the daily users did drop by 80%. So now again, I'll quote, not people not because people didn't like it, because they didn't need it. I already have Instagram, I have a WhatsApp, or maybe Telegram, or maybe any other platform that you're very good, and that you feel like using. So you don't need another app taking the memory, occupying the memory of your phone, right? So they were not able to form that habit out of those users, and that is what kills most products in the market. They nail acquisition, they get people in, but lose out on retention, because the adoption never sticks in. And that's exactly where today it's all AI. AI is the buzzword. So that's exactly where AI and machine learning changes everything. Because AI can see the patterns, or our instincts cannot. It can tell you about which user is about to be churned before they do, right before they are about to get churned. And it can tell you which feature sparks loyalty, not just random clicks, right? So that's the shift we are decoding today, from gut feel to predictive precision. And that's what I basically do, not in my 9 to 5, but basically whenever I am awake. So working as a product marketing strategist, helping teams bridge what users say versus what they actually do. So let's just get this talking ahead. And one more thing. So I would also like to, and I love taking this example. So product market fit, or just to say, when you launch your product, when you create all that go to market and you bring it out there, so it's 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 obviously not just that you have to keep an eye, let's say, for the first quarter, or the first week, or the first 5 days, or the first month. It's just as, so let's say it's just similar as a heartbeat. You don't check it once, you monitor it constantly, and that's the period. So that's the art of building a product, and kind of checking it all the time, to ensure that everything is on point, everything is just working as it should. And before that, you should develop a habit of understanding the problem first. I mean, what is the problem that you're going to address? And with that, I think I'll just take ahead onto my next slide. But I'll just also quickly check if there are any chats in here. Okay, I'd love to see if you have anything. I mean, I'll just keep checking the chats from uh, time here and there, because I just don't want to do one way speaking, just so I am just blabbering, and things are like out of the sky. So happy to take uh, questions, or maybe your feedback here in the chat box, just so I am well aware that there are audiences on the screen and who are listening me actively and not sleeping. And okay, so how do you decide, or how do you get to know the problem market first? So whatever you build now, it's because obviously today we are in the digital era, the competition is huge, huge, huge. You have one idea, there are five to it which is already existing into the market. So you really need to uh, dive deeper and get into the shoes of your audiences. Now you need to be very accurate with the demographics you are going to cater, kind of people you are going to talk to or going to address. Only then you can build something that's actually helpful. So I'll just take this example of a salesperson. Okay, so now this person got into a new firm, and the SOP asked him to cold call his prospects, the warm leads and the cold leads, uh, around 10 calls in an hour. Now what used to happen, so he joined, he was new, he used to make 10 phone calls, but the outcome was nothing. Obviously, I mean, you cannot just go around and keep calling people, because that was the traditional method. So you now need to advance yourself and see what is working, right? So that's when he just started playing around with emails a little more. He started making those warm relationships with his prospects, and started to know them more. Kind of started making that relationship, and then started pitching his ideas, and now the conversion was even more. So now, what we're talking about is from uh, bringing your instincts alive to action. So if we go uh, again back traditionally, so historically all this product market fit was intuition driven. So all the founders, or to say the CEOs, they would talk to users, read feedback, and feel the pulse of the market. So that's when I say the instincts you get, they used to get the feel the pulse of the market, but intuition doesn't scale when you have millions of data points. Patterns hide in plain sight. However, AI today visualizes what intuition feels and connects the dot between usage data, customer sentiments, and the market timing. So I'll just want to take this example of Netflix. So they really did something small. They looked at the user behavior and found a surprising pattern. People who watched an entire show in like less than 48 hours basically binged it, and they were three times more likely to keep their subscription. In other words, the faster someone fell in love with the story, the less likely they were to leave Netflix. And I am a core binge watcher, and I am somebody who can watch 8 episode series in one go. And I'm sure we have people today with me who share the same interest. If so, I'm not sure if people watch Bridgerton. How many Bridgerton fans in here? But I just completed it in one go. Um, Okay, I would love to see the chats going on, but yep. All right, so the whole point was I watched it in one go, and so what did Netflix used to do earlier? They used to bring one series, one episode per day. Now what they did was they stopped releasing one episode a week, and they dropped entire season at once. So you could binge, bond, and just stay hooked on your screen. And that's not luck, or that's not instinct, that's an AI spotting emotional behavior. And Netflix turned it into a business strategy. So it's a perfect example of how AI didn't replace human intuition, however it sharpened it, right? So yep, I mean, to take any other example would be, if instinct is your compass, AI will be your GPS for that matter. And yep. So again, what we're talking about in the predictive loop here is, so again, most team follows a build loop, a loop, which traditionally it was, so you build a product, then you measure the outcomes, and then you learn from it. However, in 2025, the loop has gotten an upgrade, and which says, the idea of AI is to help us sense friction before the metrics crash. So the way I was talking about, you get to know who's going to drop down, who's no longer going to come back to your product. So it's like having a sixth sense for your product. You can feel something is breaking before it actually breaks. That's where you build, you measure there, you get the analytics, you get all the reports onto your screen, you do the predictions, and then you start adapting it. For example, just let's just take Duolingo for an example. So their AI model predicts when a learner is about to quit. So before the user drops off, the app automatically adjusts itself, and sends a friendly nudge, like saying you are 3 days away from your next milestone. So now that's predictive product market fit, and acting right before the damage happens. So what does it do? It basically, it is knowing that you are, you're not very much entertained with the app, or you are not likely to come back, so it'll send you something really very personalized. uh, for another example, we could talk about Spotify. So Spotify's recommendation doesn't only play your favorite tracks; it predicts your boredom. So what it sends is, if you're skipping songs from a playlist too quickly, it will subtly adjust whatever it serves you next. So that's why you really start to feel the urge to switch platforms, and you remain with it, like, kind of, and it keeps you engaged before you even realize you're about to get this, you're not about to continue with it, or you're looking for a replacement uh, tool for that matter. And also, my next slide talks about this beautiful example from Figma. So when Figma first started, they didn't go around doing traditional feedbacks or surveys or asking around users. They didn't come out with survey forms, or like the Survey Monkey forms, or the Google forms for that matter. And they didn't like, they didn't, if you like our design tool and so on, because honestly, people say that they like something, but their behavior will tell you a different story. So the Figma team looked at the usage patterns instead, and here is what they found. They looked if a team invited at least 3 collaborators to a project in their first week, they were 80% more likely to stay active. And if I quote this in other words, the moment people started using Figma together, they got really well equipped with the platform. And that one small insight became their new success signal. So instead of chasing the survey results or the like of people, they focused on getting users to collaborate early, changing how they designed onboarding. So they changed their welcome emails, even how they pitched Figma, and so on. So the message is simple. The takeaway from the slide is simple. Don't chase what people say what they want. Watch what they actually do when they love your product. Because obviously behavior doesn't lie, and that's where your product market fit lives. Right. So this could be as simple as, okay, I'll just quickly move to the next slide, and I'll just talk about uh, turning the AI patterns into product moves. So AI gives you signals, but insight is what makes them valuable. The best teams turn data into decisions faster. So let's break it down. So signal is what the data actually shows. Insight is what it means, what you pull out of those signals from the data. And action is something that you are about to take next. And outcome is something which says what actually changes. So Spotify used, again, I'm just taking the example of Spotify. They used this exact loop. They saw users skipping songs in a curated playlist, and they analyzed skip behavior by the time of day and mood, and they rebuilt playlists, hence doubling their engagement. So now you would have seen, like, uh, it's your dinner time, and you get a nice dinner, or let's say evening songs for you, well curated, your morning refreshing songs, your afternoon songs, and so on. I mean, it happens with me, but in case Spotify, or let's say Apple Music, or any sort of your uh, platform is your go to tool, you would have seen that. All right. I just read I'm just reading this chat from Angela, and she says, not a Bridgerton fan here, but I understand. Absolutely. I mean, this was the very hot name on my name. On my mind, and I got so Bridgerton. There you were, not promoting it though, but yeah, just one of my favorites at the moment. So, yep. Uh, Now, there's one more thing that we often forget. Uh, users don't stay because your product works. They stay because it feels right. So emotional retention is now the new competitive edge. So AI used their Airbnb used their AI driven sentiment analysis to study trust. They analyzed the host messages and guest reviews and started picking up the keywords that made people safe. So this small insight shaped host policies and UI language, hence shooting their attention all away, right? So it's not just clicks, but AI can also help us measure emotion. And I think because all of us are must be working from are working in different backgrounds and different departments, so we can relate a lot to it, uh, because here it is. AI is highly empathetic and not just a robot that we think of, uh, that as cold and robotic in nature. But in product design, it's the opposite. It scales empathy. AI lets listen to millions of users simultaneously. So just imagine, initially you were running surveys, feedback forms, and you were 50 you have 50 of form responses, and you were just going through them, reading here and there and taking notes. And now this is something that you can get a consolidated report from millions of users simultaneously. So Notion, for example, Notion, a tool, a work management tool, for example, takes micro frustrations in onboarding. When users pause on a single step for too long, the system flags it, and then they know that, this is where the user is kind of experiencing a friction, or is not able to get that right, or maybe is not comfortable with this particular thing. And then that's when they start the team starts analyzing and kind of rebooting the entire thing. And maybe designers then simplify that step, reducing the confuser before it becomes a complaint that is dropped on and shared. So empathy used to mean one cross one feedback. Now with AI, it's 1 versus 1 million. So we can see the shift, we can see how it scales. And again, let's take the example of Shopify. This is one of the e-commerce platforms. If we are aware about that now, so it during COVID, the small business customers were in high panic mode, and sales were dropping, stores were shutting down, and business owners weren't thinking about growth. However, they were just thinking about survival. Now, Shopify's AI system picked this up, not from sales number, but the tone of customer support chats and the emails. Specific keywords like shutdown, rent, and how to survive started spiking. Now, the optimism that used to fill those conversation words like expansion and marketing almost vanished. So, what did Shopify do here? They quickly pivoted their messaging from grow your store to survive and adapt. They rolled out new templates for local delivery, launched cash flow relief tools, and changed their marketing tone overnight. Now, that one shift in language, AI insights, increased the retention and customer trust massively. So it's not waiting for users to leave; it's sensing their reality changing and moving with them. And yeah, right here. So here's where we make it more predictable. So a predictive, or let's say the best product market fit, doesn't need 100 dashboards. It only needs three signals: activation depth, how many users build a habit early, not install but repeat. So okay, I'll just come back to it. The sentiment delta, are people sounding more positive over time? Are the complaints turning into compliments? Are the support tickets dropping? And the market pulse fit, is your messaging actually aligning with what the market is actually searching for? For example, if you are saying automation, your messaging or your preposition says automation, however, but your users are googling and searching for efficiency, you're out of sync. So AI help you track this alignment in real time. And let's just take this example where I was talking about activation depth. So having new acquisitions, when I say new acquisitions, means new users come to your product, to your platform is one thing, but having them retained is another very important thing, and I'll just come to that. So here's what I want you to take with it. So uh, just to say, like, all this the nps language and ai and machine language and everything, so it's not about replacing the human intuition, it's about refining it better. So no, it can be a product marketing fit which used to be one time discovery. It's a living system today, dynamic, very data driven and deeply human. So don't just chase a stable PMF. Instead, design a system that continuously reveals it. And uh, before I go next, I would just say that, so it's just that if I just kind of take an example. Okay. So might be I might take attentions of people in here. So let's just imagine. So you're already in a relationship with your partner, and something happens, and you are now on the verge of breaking up. So and now you have two options. A is to look for a new partner, or B is to come back and resolve the conflict in between you two and kind of strengthen that bond and take it ahead, right? So what would you normally choose? Would you look for a new partner, so that will be working from scratch, getting to know each other, doing a lot of work, the 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, and so on. Instead, you get to choose to choose and come back to your previous partner and just make things right. So it's the same here in the world of tech, in the world of product. So you want your customers to keep coming back to you without any extra bonus or incentives that you are providing. So you need to measure, let's say, uh, are they coming on their own, are they coming organically, are they also inviting their peers, their family? That's when you are doing a great job out there. And yep, I can see it depends, but yep, I mean, it's always so if we see the business metrics, it says that y- acquisition is one metric, but your retention numbers should really be good. What does retention metric mean? It means if you have the repeat customers coming back to you on loop, the day you monitor that, the day you kind of nail it out, you have really made it out loud into the world. So yep, and I think with that, I am good for today. And I don't want to take much time as well. And I think I'll just hand over the mic to Federica and Theory. And thanks again for listening to me, you all. And I hope.
Thank you. A little sum of clapping hands in the chat, I would say, for Shruti and the amazing insights that she shared with us and reminding us that, one thing is building something and then the other is making sure that people love it and stick around. So thank you so much, Shruti, for your time and your presentation.